Hey guys, what's going on? In this video I'm going to go over some more of the LuxAlgo oscillators. So in the last video I did about the stochastics, so you can find everything in the description below and the pinned comment below. I'll leave a link to this article. It's the Lux Oscillators Review article. It isn't the full main review, so if you scroll down here you'll see that the full main review is actually linked in this article to here. So I'm trying to break it up into different sections because Lux really has so many different things. It's ridiculous. And the amount of content I've been producing recently on this is like through the roof. So it's an extremely powerful program and there's a lot to it. So anyway, let's talk about the Lux Ultimate MACD. So here's the stochastic that I talked about. The conclusion with that was it can help a little bit. I haven't compared this with the actual free stochastic that you can get. My guess is it'll be a little better. But what I've done with the MACD is compared the two. So I've compared the free MACD that is available on most brokerage platforms with the ultimate MACD that you buy with LuxAlgo as part of the oscillator program. I think you'll be impressed by the results a little bit. So anyway, for you guys that don't know, the MACD is basically a very classic set of indicators that a guy called Gerald Appel really made popular back in the 70s. So it's been around for a long time, and most people that have been trading for any amount of time have at least heard of it or at least tried trading using it as part of their strategy. I wouldn't recommend using it as your only strategy. Numerous backtesting has shown that just using crossovers on the MACD, for example, doesn't lead to a profitable outcome in the end. So while it's a useful tool, it shouldn't be the only thing that you use. So you can read about a little bit more about it here. I put some stuff about how you can use it. The main way I've used it, and the main one I'm going to talk about here, is just the crossover. So similar in the way that you can do crossovers with moving averages, the MACD crossover is like a combination of all this stuff all into one simple, easy thing. So I'll show you what I mean in a second. You can do divergence stuff, and I talked about divergence in this article and in my previous video, in a similar way that you can use the stochastic and the underlying price for divergence. You can use the MACD and the underlying for divergence analysis too. Personally, I don't really do much of that at all. So traders use the MACD, usually crossovers as entry and exits. So a bullish crossover means you're hoping the underlying will go up, and a bearish crossover will hopefully mean that the underlying is going to go down. That is really all you need to know. There is a bit more to it, but honestly it's not worth getting into. So let's have a look at the actual system. So what I've done here is I've removed the LuxAlgo overlay. So this is just the underlying daily chart for SPY. So there's no signals or anything on it, because what I want to focus on is the MACD signals. So I know this can be a little bit hard to see, and so I did a screenshot in the article that I just showed you, which will probably illustrate this a little bit more clearly. But I plotted the LuxAlgo Oscillator Premium. So this is the MACD, the ultimate MACD as they call it. And then underneath I just plotted the MACD, the free version that's available on TradingView beneath it. So it looks a bit messy, but hopefully you can see what we're looking at here. And so what we can do is zoom in a little bit, and what you're looking for, and I like to use these to trade with, is when the blue crosses down over the yellow or orange, I'd call it a yellow, then this signifies a change in the direction. So this is a bearish crossover, and you can see that the underlying starts to decrease in price. So pretty straightforward, right? The difference is when you look at just the conventional free MACD, which is this one, it is lagging, and this is a big problem with most of these free indicators, is they are lagging, right? So the bearish crossover doesn't happen until here, which is 5 or 6 days. Remember, this is a daily chart. So from the top, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days later, and you've already had some sell-off. Now, sure, they continue down for a while, so does it really matter if you're missing this section? Not really, but it is definitely something worth noting, right? So this is the free MACD that you get on the conventional brokerages. Now for comparison, this is the ultimate MACD included in LuxAlgo oscillators, and you can see that the crossover, this bearish crossover, happens right at the top. So it happens much earlier. You get a signal that to go short much earlier here than you do with the free MACD. So there's a comparison, free MACD Ultimate, LuxAlgo Premium, Free, LuxAlgo Premium. And so when they claim in their manual and in their material that the Ultimate MACD is superior, looking through a lot of the different signals, I actually agree with them. It does seem to be superior in a lot of ways. Mainly more predictive. Also, it's less noisy. So, and they do claim that, and it does look like that from eyeballing the charts as well, that the Ultimate MACD might offer advantages over the MACD, incorporating things like filters, and so it's a little bit better, and so it might be worth paying for just this part. So remember, LuxAlgo has all this stuff, and this is just one tiny portion of it in the whole package. If you want to buy the package, the best thing to do is to come to this article that I've done. You can go to any of them. I always put my own referral link right here. And if you use the code STA30, you can get 30% off LuxAlgo. So you get everything, the overlay packages, the signals, the oscillator package, everything. You can get it all for $100 for 3 months using my link and STA30 to get that. So honestly, I'm pretty impressed with the MACD in this package. I would never just trade it by itself, obviously. If you zoom in here. But it could add a little bit of extra accuracy to your signal. So this is the one I just showed you on the live LuxAlgo. The crossover on this one is significantly before this one. I marked up this one. So this is another one where we have a bearish crossover. This one barely has any bearish crossover until here, where the trend has already gone down quite a bit. So this again is the ultimate. This is the free. You can see it on a smaller, this is, by the way, this is a smaller time frame. Actually, no, it's the same, it's the daily. But you can see again here, you've got this bullish crossover here where the blue is crossing the yellow. And it's not happening until much later. In fact, you would miss the move almost with the free one. These are just some examples. It doesn't always work. Nothing's perfect ever. When we zoom out, we can try and see some more examples. It's hard because trying to get these things to show up on video is quite tricky, especially when you have multiple overlays. Not overlays, but multiple parts here. If we look at the shorter time frames, because other people, they don't just trade on the daily, maybe it's most obvious on the daily. Let's have a look here. Try and get this thing to show. Know why the Lux one isn't showing very well here. There we go, so I have to like scroll. Kind of show the Lux one right here. So I guess this is another good example. Let's see. Hopefully you guys can see this. I'm just gonna try and squeeze up the, hover and find the line, just squeeze the underline up a little bit. So here's another example. I guess this one was like weird because the underline was just trending up very slightly, and the LuxAlgo Ultimate did call it here, but really it's kind of flat, so neither of these signals worked very well, but you can see at least you've gotten a little earlier than this one. This one definitely a little earlier on the Lux one. Not much in it. Sometimes they match, so they're not always like that different. Like for example here, they both match on this bearish crossover, right? So they both called this move right here. So sometimes they do match. Again, it looks like they matched here more or less. Here. So it's not always like an advantage, but there are times when the Lux one does seem to be a little more predictive. Like you can see here, it was significantly more predictive. Again, this is the Lux one, remember? So putting the cursor here would have called it before the drop, whereas the MACD for the free one would have been almost at least after some of the drop. You can see here and here. Similar here. Similar for some of this stuff. So yeah, so there is an advantage. It's a fairly small advantage, but let's face it, any advantage we can get can be useful, right? So what would you use this for? Well, let me get rid of the MACD, the conventional MACD here. So now we're just left with the ultimate one. And I'm going to add in the indicators back onto Lux. So we've already got that. Let's get rid of that. Let's put on the overlays. Alright, so there's the overlays. Let me get rid of this guy again. Alright, so now we have, and if you guys have been watching this series of videos and reading my articles, now we have my favorite setup. on the chart. So we have the Lux Premium overlays, we have the trail, the smart trail, which I use, and also the key signals for buy and sell. So I'm trying to find where we might have an advantage here using the MACD, the ultimate MACD, and the signals. So for example, here you start to get a cross, so you've gone short. Let's zoom in on this one. Man, I don't like juggling with all these time things. I'm not very good with TradingView. I should be more proficient at it given my experience level trading. I just don't use it that much. Here we go. Right, so here's one example where Lux was signaling a short, right? And you take this short and you say, hey, we're below the smart trail. This is my strategy that's been working really well. Which, by the way, I've actually done really well. I have a spreadsheet that I'm keeping. This was in the space of a week. 72% win rate and $4,895 profit. Very nice. This is just using the LuxAlgo without any of the oscillators, just with these overlays. Anyway, so you can see short here, you take the short because you're beneath the smart trail. It's red, it's great, it starts to trend down. But then you start to see your smart or ultimate MACD crossover here. You start to get a little nervous that maybe we're changing direction. You could always use this as an exit criteria, right? So you could take your profits in here somewhere. And in this case, it would have saved you quite a bit of grief because this thing would have trended all the way back up to the smart trail. And at some point, you might end up taking profits up here. So you can use it in conjunction. Maybe it'll help, maybe it won't. I think it'll help a little bit. Let's see if there's any other, just to finish up, if there's any other good examples here of using the LuxAlgo oscillator MACD. This one's so mixed it wouldn't really help at all. Just kind of crazy crossovers. See what we've got coming up here. Scroll this down. So in this one we did get a cross here, a bullish cross before the indication. Would it have helped on an exit? Let's see if we can have a look. Not really. So anyway, I do think the ultimate MACD from Lux is better, at least in some scenarios, than the free MACD. So hopefully it's helpful. If you want to buy the whole package, come to this article. It's in the description below. You can read about the oscillators. You can find my Facebook group if you're not a member of that yet. Come and join us there. I've also got my top 5 trade alert services that I really like here. And also a free course on how to win 90% of your trades in 90 seconds, which is good. But also the link to get that 30% off the LuxAlgo indicators. Anyway, hopefully that's helpful, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.